Hi guys, welcome back to the show. Hi Markus, hi Keith. How's everything going with you this week?
Eve?
Hi, Amos.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Want to start, Keith?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, guys. Good morning. Well, it's good morning to me. I forget. We're all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good evening from me. Good morning to America. And well, we are back with not such a depressing show than we had in the weeks before. This time we have some good news for you guys. And well, Amos, tell us, what was your week?
Well, my week was kind of blah. I did attempt to get a few folks together locally in the Maplewood, South Mountain area where I live to constitute a group for coexistence, Arabs, Jews, Palestinians, Israelis, and started dialogue. And so I'm not sure if this is something that draws much because we've had some people responded positively and joined the group, but so far we haven't had much activity yet. So hopefully that will improve.
Okay, nice. Well, my week was not that dramatic, but at least I reached to increase my high score at pinball. Back to the Future. Well, let's have a look what we have today. Yeah, as I said, we have some good news, and it is about what's going on the energy sector, respectively, what's going on with the oil companies in the future. And there were some interesting developments we had to see this week. Amos will talk about the continuing insurrection. We can see which is going on now into the highest levels. Then we have Keith with Kshama Sawant. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Being under attack. He will talk about this. And in the shortcuts, we will have a look at Matt Gaetz and the incredible Empty G. Well, let's start with what happened today, what happened last week in Europe, in the Netherlands. And if you look at the card and you are not knowing what was going on there, those guys are not celebrating a football victory. No, they are celebrating a court order which had put some very, very severe demands on the Shell oil company. To give you a first impression, I would like Amos to start the little clip we found for this.
An outburst of joy after the landmark ruling in The Hague. More than 17,000 Dutch citizens and 7 environmental groups had filed a case arguing that Shell endangers people's lives and future generations with its carbon emissions.
It's enormous, it's phenomenal, it's historical. I'm so enormously glad. For the first time, we really have a major chance to reduce climate change and ensure a safe and happy future for my 3 kids and all kids in the world.
For the first time, a court ruled that not only governments but also companies have a responsibility to reduce climate change.
The court orders Royal Dutch Shell, through its company policy, to reduce its CO2 emissions, and also those from providers and consumers by the end of 2030 to net 45% compared to 2019.
A huge blow to Shell that had pledged to reduce its emissions by 20% in a decade, but now is ordered to ramp things up. The company says it's disappointed by the verdict and will appeal.
This verdict not only gives a boost to the more than 17,000 Dutch citizens and 7 environmental groups have won this case, this could have an impact worldwide. Now a judge has ruled that a company like Shell has an obligation to cut emissions. The same could apply to companies around the globe.
Absolutely. This will definitely have a ripple effect across other jurisdictions, and it's definitely something that other companies should take into account. Not only their boards, but their shareholders as well, their investors, their accountants, etc. So I really think that this will have a huge impact on the energy transition.
An estimated 1,800 lawsuits related to climate change are currently being fought in courtrooms around the world. Climate law experts believe that this ruling will enforce corporate responsibility irrespective of the political reality.
Interestingly, one of the things that the judge said today is that Shell cannot follow what's happening in society. Shell has its own obligation to do its share against climate change. So even if now in society people would care less about climate change, which I wouldn't expect, but even then Shell still has to commit.
If and how Shell will commit remains to be seen. These climate activists will continue to watch the company closely. Cutting nearly half its emissions in a decade from now can, according to experts, only be done if the company majorly alters its operations. Stepvasen, Al Jazeera, The Hague.
Yeah, obviously the time of the fig leaves, investing only a small amount of money from the big gains they're making into green energy. Now they are forced to do this. And if you see what was in the clip, they have to slash the greenhouse gas emissions by 45% by 2030. And this was based on the levels of 2019. We can, of course, discuss if all this is too late, But on the other hand, we cannot lay our hands into our laps and do nothing and shrug our shoulders. I think in our capitalistic system, this court order is more than remarkable because it hurts the companies by what the most important point is for them. It's the profits they're making, and for this reason, I think it is a good first court ruling, and several others have to follow. And if we are looking what happened the same day, a little bit later, it is absolutely amazing. There's an article I found in Vox, and it says why big oil should be worried after a day of reckoning. And after this court order we just witnessed, the second reckoning came at Chevron's unusual shareholder meeting, at which 60% voted for resolution recommending that the companies reduce its emissions, not only in its production process, but also in the products itself to consumers. The vote is not binding, but follows a trend from other shareholder meetings this year. A similar resolution passed at ConocoPhillips' recent meeting in May, and another Phillips 66 resolution requests that the company produce a report on its lobbying activities. And that's not enough. Then there came the next strike for the oil industry. At Exxon's Mobil annual shareholders meeting, a small advocacy investment firm called Energy Number One, which owns just 0.02% of the company, staged a coup by winning at least 2 seats on the Exxon's board of directors. And of course, this went in opposition to the bosses of the companies. And I think it's remarkable, and it makes there was let's go back to the to a comment which came from Shell after the court order. Let me see where I have it. Okay, here it is. Shell immediately indicated plans to appeal the ruling to the Supreme Court of the Netherlands. Urgent action is needed on climate change, which is why we have accelerated our efforts to become a net zero emissions energy company by 2050. In step with society, with short-term targets to track our progress, a Shell spokesperson said in a statement yesterday. Of course, they are all unknown. They don't have any names, And he's praising his company, to reach targets which statistics and scientists say are not valid anymore, and they are praising themselves for this. And it goes even and he goes even on. He's complaining and he's whining. He says, we are investing billions of dollars in low carbon energy, including electric vehicle charging. And here I would like to listen to Keith. Electric vehicle charging, where does it come from? What is the energy where the electric vehicle charging is coming from, Keith? You told us.
Yes, I saw a local news thing just the other day, and I think it was a letter to an editor somewhere, but the guy was complaining about the charging stations, making the point that you really can't park a car and charge it while you're shopping. I mean, you've got to charge it overnight. Charging a vehicle quickly is a very problematic thing, and getting the power to charging stations in the quantities that could charge a car quickly is very difficult, because if you think about like filling up a gas tank, that liquid is concentrated energy, and putting that kind of energy into a battery it's not as easy as just putting a hose into a tank and filling it up. And so the huge infrastructure issues involved in a conversion. But yes, when we get to me, I've got a brief update on the truck situation, because since I gave that little report 2 weeks ago and said, where are the electric transport vehicles, I found one. So we'll have a brief little thing about that.
One
Go
footnote.
on.
Yes.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say is, it is they are gaslighting the people, and they are gaslighting the people. It is not surprising, of course, but they don't want to face reality. They know what's going on. We know this from documents from American oil companies from, I think it was from the 50s already, where they exactly calculated how much the temperature would be rising in because of using fossil fuels. But they are still only after the profits, only after the money. And I'm curious how their chances would be at the Dutch Supreme Court. And we will wait for this. But it doesn't change the trend, in my opinion, because more and more insurance company, they cannot afford anymore to risk their reputation by offering insurances for big companies to get into an oil field or to frack or something like this. It's getting they're getting more and more, they're standing more and more in the rain with this, because it is more and more important for customers, for the people. They want to know how those who can invest, what they're investing in, and what's the purpose, etc. And I think this court order was a clear sign. And what an astounding day that all this happened on one day, right? Because this is a deep cut into the markets, into the fossil fuel markets. What do you think would be the reactions of Amos and Keith? What do you think are they doing now?
Well, I've got one comment right off. Just before the show, I was looking at news articles, and the Biden administration's opening up part of Alaska for oil, production. So on one hand, you've got his administration promoting green energy. Let's save the world, all the good stuff. And on the other hand, you've got to make the existing what do you want to call it? The existing way things are, the existing order of society as it is. I don't know what to call it, but you've got to make people happy now. And so there's a lot of contradictions. So how is this news going to be taken? It's going to be spun every which way and sideways, because I was going to ask you, you kind of clarified things for me, but my question was going to be, what exactly was this judge's decision and what does Shell exactly have to do? And it's very unclear, which means there's going to be a lot of baloney being passed around.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Amos, what do you say?
Well, I agree with you that there is like it's almost like dealing with an administration that has multiple personality disorder. You
Yes.
have the pipelines going on.
Yeah.
You have Alaska going on. You have other kowtowing to oil companies, and on the other hand, you have commitment to electric vehicles and like investment in green technology, all kinds of things that we do support. But it's almost like it's running on full cylinders in both directions, which is impossible to reconcile. So I don't know. I mean, they're going to have to figure out how to retain political influence while still doing the hard decisions that need to be done to with the green and so forth. But to mention one thing, I just wanted to, as a footnote to what you said, Keith. Uh, I don't know if you guys caught this in the news, but Tesla has been a hit for tampering or throttling the charge speed of their batteries on their vehicles. In fact, the technology allows much faster charging than they have been allowing on the vehicles. So that's one thing that hit the news, and the other, I think it's a matter more of a technology than a physical limitation. I think you could come up
One
with
thing
ways to,
there's there are technical issues involved.
yeah, no doubt. But you could, for example, swap batteries on a dime if you had the mechanism to do that. So the whole
That's
issue
a
of
good way. Yes, that's a good way to do it. I agree. But
that, and
that's not
there's
the way
also,
they're building the cars.
yeah,
You know,
that's true.
the batteries are being integrated into the structure. But
But
ideally,
that's
yes,
changeable,
that would be the way to do it.
right?
This exactly, this would be a kind of recycling, you know, that you would get a fully charged battery, and you only had to insert it and go on. And I think, and I think this should be the way it should go, because otherwise you cannot bring people from fossil fuel who are used to go to gas station and stay there for 5 minutes, you know, 7 if you got snacks, and then you are gone, and you cannot expect that they would appreciate to wait 1-2 hours if the and even longer if the station is occupied by another car. This is absolutely crazy, you know, and this would not promote going to electric cars. The other problem I see is where
Well, that's
yeah, go on.
yeah. One thing about that is though, is the thought has always been you can't have the electric car unless it can directly compete with the with a fossil fuel car.
Yeah,
And so all this time, is spent getting technology far enough along so that you could build a car that competes with, an ICE car, internal combustion engine. And we're essentially, with the Tesla, Musk did it, or, he got the people together to do it for him. And, you know, is what's really going on though, because there are technical issues involved, and we really don't have the energy. And you can't directly, when you do the numbers, directly replacing the cars that we have now with a fleet of electric cars, it's
exactly,
not possible. It's not going to be the same thing.
exactly.
So what can we have, and what do we need? Because the fact is, some people want to do without cars, and they're all green and everything, but how do you get to the hospital when you got to get there? I mean, we haven't structured our cities so you can really do it without them. and especially in America. I know in Europe it's better. You know, that's what I read. That's what I'm told.
It would be possible, but not if we are
Sure.
acting. But not if we are acting as a not society. If we are not acting in solidarity, you know, then it would work. That you need what I don't know, 5 or 6 cars, you know, for 50 people or 40 people. If this could be arranged, but not in these times.
Another
no
thing
one is interested in changing the lifestyle.
Yes.
Right. Another thing that I agree with Keith is that of course the changing to electrical cars doesn't do anything. It all depends what the source of the electricity is. So if you're using fossil fuels to generate electricity, you haven't done anything. In fact, you've done a worse job because you're losing a percent of efficiency each time you're doing a conversion of an energy source.
Yeah.
You're losing a lot of percentage just on that conversion. So in fact, that would be even worse. But of course, if you manage to change the electric grid to a green energy produced electricity, then of course that's better. But the question is how to get there, and there's not yet a full strategy that's clear, or a policy national.
How likely do you guys think is it that that electricity would 100% replace fossil fuels?
It's not possible. It's physics. I do the math.
Exactly. And I think before I think there's one thing is lacking. The first thing is what's going on in science and technology. You know, there we'll see a lot of developments, etc. But the other thing is the philosophic way. What does it mean? You already teased it, Keith. What's going on with our mindsets? What would be our lifestyle in the future? Because that we cannot go on like this is absolutely clear. But there is too less discussion about what would this mean in a philosophical way, in a way how, or in a psychological way also. What would it need?
People
What
have trouble
mindset would it
talking about
need?
this.
I'm sorry?
People have trouble talking about this because technology is worshipped. You know, it's seen as the answer to everything.
Yes.
So it's kind of impossible not to think about technology in glowing terms and see it as the cure for everything, causing us to not properly assess our problems. You know, I got really interested in this, and I went down that rabbit hole because years ago I was wondering, well, we got all these problems in the world. Why aren't people solving them? Why aren't they? What happens to people's heads that they don't pay attention to some obvious facts, like the world running out of energy, of overpopulation? Why do, you know, these are not difficult things to understand, pay attention to them. So that's one of the things I started just going down that rabbit hole. And traditionally, when people are confronted with a crisis of some kind, they go to technology and they find a solution through some technical means. Now, and technology covers a lot of ground. It can just mean simply using a tool, finding a new way to plow a piece of ground, you know, but people, that's what we do. And so we solve a problem. And then what happens is we produce a surplus, which leads to population growth, which leads to more problems, which we solve with technology, which leads to population growth. You see where I'm going with this? I'm boring you already. And the end result is where we are now, where we have a whole bunch of problems, limited resources, and not a clear direction about where we should be going, although the actual answer is clear as a bell. It's simple. I mean, it's basic science. But
the
we're
thing is,
humans. We don't want to, you know, pay attention to such things as reality.
But modern economy is addicted to economic growth. That's the cornerstone. Like you
Yes.
have to have economic growth every year. Unless if you don't, that it's a downturn. It's a problem. And the only way you do this economic growth is by expanding markets. How do you expand markets? You get more people. So there's like that's inherent problem of our economy, and unless we figure out how to slow things down without breaking, without everybody flying off the carousel, we're gonna have to continue pedaling.
You're absolutely right. There are still economists here in Europe, in Germany, who are talking about, about this growth. We have to reach this target, this growth, so everything would be okay. And this is what I mean with mindset. And absolutely crazy in my opinion. And yeah, it's the topic is it could be so easy. It could be so easy, Yes, yeah.
What's that Pete Erickson quote?
Yes, the Pete Erickson quote is it refers to what the oil companies have to care for now with the court decision. In the past, it was they produced oil, and they sold it on the market, and then they said, "Okay, our job is done." This is not going on anymore because it doesn't end at the point where they sold the oil. He said it here in Erickson in a phone interview. He leads the climate program at the Stockholm Environment Institute in Seattle. He said it includes the CO2 that comes out of an automobile tailpipe, for example. That was oil that was originally pulled off the ground by Shell. It doesn't end at the process and at the selling point. They are responsible also what is happening. How is this product used, and this is a complete new responsibility the court put on them, right?
Yeah.
I'm still not clear exactly what the court's done, but business goes for profit, and why are we pointing the finger just at Shell? And it's the consumer. Ultimately, the consumer burns the fuel. And yes, I agree. A lot of things haven't been done right. Look, the oil companies have lobbyists. I don't like that. I don't like them making all sorts of money and ignoring the environment. And so
I know what you mean. In general is
but
we are
the product.
We are all oil addicts, and we are trying,
Yes.
to get on a cold turkey, to get rid of it. That's the schizophrenic point in this, right?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I'm more optimistic than Keith. I think these two incidents are like a very beginning of things starting to change, and so we see two platforms of the fight. One in courts, which is external, how the external world is trying to force the industry to change, and the other one is actually more interesting. It's internal. It's the shareholders. Taking an interest in how a company deals with climate change and actually making internal changes that are not liked by the company to force them to make those changes themselves. So that is something that has been touted theoretically as the democratization of capitalism. We haven't seen much of that influence anything. This is kind of like a sign that it may, on the sidelines, this may also play some role, as eventually the shareholders are also they're commonly people. So it does have maybe there is a little bit of a push or nudge on that end. I don't put much hope in that on its own, of course, but I think the totality of all of this together may have an effect.
That's the point, and it is also, 3 cases only, but if the only hope we can have is that it costs something, that it is not a single orders or just single reactions from a small group of shareholders in one example, but that this would continue, that this would get some self speed. I don't know how to say it in English, that some that this process pushes itself somehow, because as I said, more and more customers are not happy with what's going on, and they are asking the questions, and it is not good for a company's reputation if they have to deal with customers they depend on. Of course, there are other companies who don't give a shit about it, right? But if you're in competition, it would change things. And if you look at if you can show please slide 17, and if you look at the numbers we are talking about, if you look at Exxon, Chevron, and Royal Dutch, fantastic numbers, right? Market capitalization: Exxon 250 billion, Chevron 200 billion, Royal Dutch Shell 140 billion, and it goes on and on and on. There's also France in it, United Kingdom, Russia, of course, China. But for those companies, reducing the emissions also means deep cuts into their profits and into their market capitalization. Yeah, that was my report so far. We will stick on this, and I hope that we can report about more cases in the future where reason wins over greed, and it's the only way to survive.
Yep. Right, next up, we have the discussion on the insurrection, and it is alarming that this hasn't yet been fully investigated, and that Republicans are standing in the way of any investigation of the thing. I've caught a little bit of a news from actually from a right-wing organization called Global Gateway Pundit, and they've exposed that someone that was part of the Oath Keepers has provided some new information that they consider significant in that case. So let's just mention who are these Oath Keepers. So basically, they were founded by this gentleman, Stuart Rhodes. Is the founder and spokesperson. He's a Yale graduate, an Army paratrooper, an obviously ex Army paratrooper, and put together this organization specifically to draw people from the military and fire department, places like that, to supposedly defend the Constitution. However, his rhetoric and those of others in the organization were very, very specifically tailored around the right-wing and Trump support aspects. They see Trump as the person that is shielding the Constitution and the U.S. They've lined themselves up with right-wing people who were in trouble in the courts due to activities of decisions. For example, the judge that refused to provide marriage licenses to same-sex marriages. when they were released from jail, they surrounded them and said that they would protect these individuals from this judge from being put in jail again, and basically they're presented by the right wing media as bipartisan. They're hardly bipartisan. They're very much on the right, and basically align themselves with every single thing on the right. So that kind of is false narrative. But however, and here we see a picture of them.
Can I interject something there?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Yeah, I happen to know, like about 20 years or so ago, the Oath Keepers got a start, and they were an evangelical group that was pretty harmless. They were promoting men to be responsible fathers, the good part of the patriarchy type thing. And, so whatever they are now, I suggest maybe some perversion of that original thread, and like who's in charge of it now and what they stand for. That's up for you to tell us now. But I just wanted to give that background that, it's an organization that has been around for a long time, and it grew out of some Christian evangelical roots.
All right.
Okay,
They were getting.
And the oath means, that they only have to marry within the family, or
no, the oath is to the Constitution.
I'm kidding, man. I'm kidding.
Okay. No, the oath is to be a responsible father, to provide for your family, and worship God and all that, do good and whatever.
So this has been according to my understanding, then this is a reconstitution of that organization, but under Stewart, it's basically he's completely aligned himself with Trump's lies about the elections. He said it was a false election, and the true president was Trump. He said that the government is being taken over by extremist China-backed communists, which is Biden, and that it's anti-democratic. The Oath Keepers believe that eventually that their rhetoric includes the ideology that the epidemic and other things that are happening in the world will give the government the cover to take things into their hand as under martial law, which hasn't happened. But in the closest it has happened is actually with Trump pulling the strings during January 6th, and that irony is not lost on me. Here we see a picture of them. They were broke into the Capitol in the first round, in the first group of people that
I'm sorry, Amos, you can clearly see that those guys are Antifa. Come on.
Right. Well, that is actually still the claim of the right-wing media. And they're saying, I'll tell you in a minute what they're saying, but these guys, you could see videos of them while there were people outside the Capitol on the Capitol steps singing the anthem and demonstrating. You see a line of these Oath Keepers in full gear, like marching, slowly getting through the crowd, one in single file, up to the entrance of the Capitol. Now, one of them, who's been working in embassy security and stuff like that, and is, I believe, an ex-Navy SEAL or something of that sort, he has tremendous experience, claimed his testimony was that there were magnetic doors on the entrance to the Capitol, and those doors can withhold any amount of force. Oops, we lost. There we go, Keith. Those doors can withhold any amount of force on them. So it's basically you could even drive a vehicle in full speed and tug on the doors, and the most that would happen is probably the handle would come off. But these locks are tremendously strong, and the only way that you can open them are from inside. You have to press a button. So his claim was that they made it to the top of the stairs. He was there. He took a picture of the doors closed. Then he seconds later, somebody released the doors, and the crowd was able to enter. So the claim here by the right-wing media is that must mean that it's the Pelosi and others that have tried to cause something to happen. To me, it actually pretty much, if this is true, it would reinforce my belief that it was an inside job, that there was involvement of police, and that the Trump administration had something to do with that. We know they had to do with the preventing of the National Guard being there. We know that the Trump administration refused to assist in the aspects of the attack, and so we remember the pictures of the cops waving people in, and the fact that it was so oddly unprotected. And this would be, if this is true, this would be another reinforcement of that idea that Trump has attempted to let those people in and create a huge problem through some forces on the inside. So I don't know. I don't really know. The thing is, he posted pictures that supposedly show this, and look at it. He claimed he took a picture of the doors closed, and then the next minute opened. That's not what we see here. I don't know what he's talking about. The pictures that I've seen, there was already a door open, so I'm not sure what he's talking about. Further, it's important to know technically the doors also open when there's a fire alarm. When that happens, the door unlocked to allow people out. That apparently has not happened according to reports. The other way it can open is that there's a proximity switch at the ceiling. Somebody has to allow that to happen. In other words, in any case, that would have had to be done from the inside. There were claims that some veteran managed to run from the inside and allow people in. I think he would have been shot if that happened. And the question is, were the doors open to begin with, or were they opened? If they were open to begin with, that's another question. Why would they be open when there's this brewing crowd on the steps of the Capitol? And that by itself is a big question. Now, all of this could have been investigated, and the answers to that are there. So we only need to seek it. Unfortunately, Republicans are barricading and blocking that from happening, even though they're assured that they would have, similar to the 9/11 Commission, equal amount of representation on the committee. And they still, under Mitch McConnell's leadership, are trying to prevent that from happening. I think this is travesty. I think this is very serious, very scary, because that allows misinformation and practically ignoring of this danger of against democracy to happen. These people are convinced that it is Democrats that staged, or Antifa or whatever, that stage this insurrection, which is ridiculous on its face. But nevertheless, that's what's out there, and they're taking these pieces of information as proof of that. In fact, they seem to be proof of the opposite, or at least suggesting the opposite. What do you guys think?
I think it is. We talked a little bit earlier about it. It is not a Republican Party anymore. It's a cult party. It's the Trump party now, and of course they try to avoid the next elections are not so far away anymore. They are trying to keep all this under the carpet and not get involved in all this again. And they want to look forward, and well, this everything which would come out of it would keep it in the minds of the people, and it doesn't matter to them if there are also Republicans, if there would also be Republicans in it, as Democrats, as independent people. Well, it doesn't matter to them. They wanna forget all this, and they want to live their myth, their tale, that nothing happened, that everything was Antifa, and that it was maximum some people who went a little bit over the line, and nothing serious happened. They are belittling this, and because it would hurt them, and yeah,
they don't want to deal with it. Much prefer not to deal with it. But as the American people need answers. It really happened. People really got hurt. It really did affect our history. It needs to get looked into. But
but it wouldn't.
all
But
people want to do
you absolutely
is spin it to
you're
their
absolutely.
own.
You're absolutely right, Keith. But but look at the political situation at the moment. Of course, you would need to look into this, but it would be doubted. It would be doubted like everything. It would be doubted like the coronavirus exists, like Biden won the election, like many other things, because we are not living in the times anymore where facts count. Only the narrative
Now we
counts.
have a war on truth.
Yes, exactly. And it doesn't, in the end, it doesn't matter, right? And that's the problem of it.
Yeah, it's reminiscent already of
Well,
dictatorships.
from a practical point of view, it may not matter in a sense. It's water under the bridge. It happened. We got new problems now. But how did it come about? What sort of people encouraged it? There are a lot of questions that do need to be answered. It can't be ignored.
I'm absolutely, I'm absolutely with you with that, because we need to get the facts out about all of this. If it's not for this generation, maybe the next generation, or whatever generation which is coming, when they're looking back to this. But for a political, on the other level, politically, or what the society concerns, it has absolutely no value, and it is sad that it is like that.
And I've got to ask myself, what would they have to hide, really? Like to be so opposed to an investigating body to expose what happened. I mean, if you think that it is the Democrats, if you think it was Antifa, whatever, wouldn't you want the truth to come out? I mean, like, I completely don't get that idea that you have to bury it in order
Amos, the problem is you are trying to think logic about this, but logic is no currency anymore. You can make up bullshit, like we're coming to this a little bit later. What Empty Green came out of her mouth. I cannot say it differently. It doesn't matter anymore. Logic doesn't matter. It is only how loud you can shout, and how often you shout it out loud. That's the currency we have right now.
Yes, who can control the narrative? And when you're trying to control the narrative, you're not interested in what people have to say. You're not interested in facts coming out. You're just interested in your story, and that's all. And that's the atmosphere we're living in.
But if we cannot even investigate what happened here and draw the lessons, that makes me very pessimistic. If we can fight back continued insurrection, and these people they're talking about how Trump is going to come back and resume his presidency. And there was a poll done recently where, I think it was 26% of Trump supporters thought Trump was actually actively president.
Yeah. But this is
he's not.
but this says also, we can also dig into this. Why is it like it is? What you just described. Why is it so that there is for my opinion, it's an incredible amount of percentage, who believe this. But this has to do with education also, and if education is denied, or it is cut, or made only available to certain people, this brings problems with it, right? Or if you're not allowed anymore to read certain books in school, etc. All these little cuts, and then you have the narrative of only one TV station. We all know what who I'm talking about, which I'm talking about, and then your brain is done, right? It's only little cuts, little steps, but the more and more there are there, you got your own reality then, and you are living in it.
Yep.
Right, guys. What's going on there?
Keith.
I'm still here. I was cut off for a bit.
Okay.
I'm back, though.
All right. Would be your turn.
So where are we?
Kicking off with Ford's entry into the pickup market. Oh, I guess he froze.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Mine? Okay. I'll go like mine. We're going in and out, so I'm just going to go like things are working. So where are we on the slides? Okay. Let's see. See, I all I see is you, Marcus. I don't see what slide we're on.
Oh, okay. It's slide 28. It's kicking off with Ford's entry into the pickup market.
Okay, yeah. This is it's a very long commercial, what it is. It's 8 minutes long. But if we could play some of it, that would be great. Let's see, did I actually put, never mind. I actually thought I had the place in the video that I wanted to play, but it advertises that the center console can be used as a meal preparation area. Because what they did with this truck, you're trying to build an electronic truck that can carry, cargo. And it's very difficult to do because batteries are really heavy and they don't have the energy density that you get in an internal combustion energy, be it diesel or gasoline. So what they did in this 8-minute commercial that Ford's coming out into this electronic pickup market is, spin everything to put the lipstick on the pig. Like they advertise that the bed is only 5 feet long because that's what the majority of their customers want. Now, I suspect that's because that's the sweet spot, and they're going to have a whole lot of people that are mad at them if they make it 6 feet long. And so in this long commercial, from my technical knowledge, I kind of found it kind of silly in places. they advertise that the thing.
Uh-oh.
No, he's gone. I think he was froze for a while already. Okay. Keith, I don't know if you can hear us. I guess no. There you go.
Are you back?
Yes, now you're back. Yeah.
I cut out, didn't I?
Yeah.
Where was I?
Good question.
Anyway. Yeah.
So they put the lipstick on the pig.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So so in the middle of it, the presenter does this thing where he explains that the center console is a meal preparation area, can be used as a meal preparation area, which is really great if you're going to be homeless and you get one of these things, you can't make the payments, they foreclose on the house, you're stuck on this, you're working at your fast food restaurant, but you can still go home to your truck and prepare your meals on the center console. So that's good to know. So, that's just my amusement about the whole thing. And if we go to the next slide, it'll show that one of the uses is that it can be used as the, house storage or energy storage device. Can we see the next slide there?
What do you mean? Some Ford ones had little chrome letters?
We're frozen.
No, we're not. You're frozen, I guess, Keith.
The bean sprouts in the hydroponic garden growing.
I don't know if Keith can hear us. So
it's too frustrating that
yeah.
There's a
what are we going to do? Shall we go on and try to get Keith next week back in, and hopefully he can fix his problem with his internet connection? What do you think? Because he's
back
he's
and
out.
forth. I'm not sure how he disappeared. Well, I guess yes. Had a story about okay, you know what, let's go into the shorts and we can always go back to his story if he's able.
Yes, if it works, all right, let's go to the shorts. I think you are starting this, right?
Yes. So I don't know, you've probably I wonder how many of you, just indicate in the chat how many of you received all these pro-Trump questions through social media. There's been these flurry of like, do you want to see this A team back in office or whatever? There's been also ones that talk about not just Trump but other people on the right, and the question is, what's going on? Why all of a sudden there's such a big hit with these things? And you go on to those, you see that there's several people posting comments per second.
Okay.
Okay, stop, Keith. Stop, Keith, please. we went over to the shortcuts.
We lost connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we went into the shorts. So let me finish that one short and then we'll go back to your story. So basically what I believe is happening here is that they're data mining social media. They get people to respond to these. They make these outrageous calls, and then people either say they hate it or they love it, and so they have a new database of people to target. So be aware. I don't know what the response to that is. Whatever you respond to, it is actually helping the data miners, but the truth is that I think that also the opposing side can data mine the same posts. So it's an interesting thing to notice, though. That's my bit on that. Let's go back to Keith. Do you want to pick it up from where you?
Yeah, but since we got interrupted, maybe we should move past the car and just move right into
Yeah.
the next segment, because
Okay.
it's kind of lead one thing into another here. And so next one, just go on to the next slide, and I'll start talking when
Yeah.
we get it up there.
We're on Albert Watkins' slide.
Yes, yes. So who is Albert Watkins? He's the attorney for the shaman, the cowhorn shaman. And what he said about, I think I've got the quote on the next slide, and it's been a few days since I made it, so I forgot what it exactly is. But basically, he's going after the insanity defense because his clients got diminished capacity. He only does what he's told. He's a robot who just obeys Trump, and therefore he's innocent, or some such nonsense. So, oh, here it is. So he calls the people who invaded the Capitol short bus people, which I think is kind of amusing, but it's really not very nice. And then, so that's really interesting. And let's have the next slide. Are we there?
Yes.
Okay, next slide.
Can you see?
Yeah, I can't tell when I'm breaking up or not.
Watkins, it's up. Watkins said his clients had Asperger's syndrome.
Okay, yeah. So we're going on, and that had to do with the capital, occupation. And in Seattle, last summer we had our own occupation, because in Seattle we have our very own AOC equivalent, and that's Kshama Sawant. And last June, she during the midst of the COVID lockdown in Seattle, she opened the city hall doors at night and had an impromptu meeting in City Hall, without any permission or anything, because she thought she could do that. She's on the Seattle City Council here, and she got in some trouble for that. And so this is resulting in a recall election. And she also, one of the things she did, let's go on to the next slide. And a lot of things happened last summer. We had this thing called the Chopper, the Chaz, the Capitol Hill occupation zone, or the occupied protest. And can you still hear me?
Yes, you are absolutely cool.
Okay. I don't know when I'm on or not here. It's a problem.
No, it's cool.
Breaking up. Okay. So last summer was very busy because we had this occupied protest where we had, riots with the police and so on. And Kshama got out there with her megaphone and started using it to her own advantage. But, well, there I am giving my opinion there. And I really don't want to do that yet. I just want to present the facts. And going on to another slide here, I have a picture of what was I call the Chopper, the Chaz. They changed the name, being residents. I'm only confused, but called it the Chop, Capitol Hill.
Are you still there, Keith? I guess he's gone, Amos.
Bad.
Yeah.
Frozen.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah, he needs to get his internet connection fixed.
He has one, but we'll figure something out. Meanwhile, we're going to
back to the shorts.
Back to the shorts. One thing to mention is there is a march for Medicare for all, July 24th. You can find the details on Facebook. So please share this, pass it on. We still have some time till July 24th. You can organize your own event in your area, March and so forth. Be aware that though it says March, it's in July.
It's in July. March for Medicare for All. This is why you came to March.
So
It's not March 4th.
Feel
a
about
little
her.
confusing.
And it's a mixed.
Okay, Amos,
Yes.
Keith, we
Yeah.
completely lost you for, I guess, for about 2 minutes, and I think we should skip this for this week, and we are trying to find an option
Okay.
to get you without the drop in drop outs next week. So, what do you think?
Well, that's the way it goes. Okay.
Yeah, because
Well, the thing is, I'm reporting on Kshama and her recall election, because this is going to be news in the capital area all summer long. So in some sense, it can wait. It means I can get even more prepared than I already am, though I'm pretty prepared now. So yeah, if that's the way it is, that's the way it is.
what do you think, Amos?
In summary, we'll wait. But she is a controversial figure who's gotten a lot of actual national attention, and that's the purpose of me presenting this whole episode. So,
Okay.
Did you get that?
Give it a try. Give it a last try, Keith. And he froze.
He froze on this.
Fuck.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Well, I think it makes more sense that he does this presents this in a fluid way next week,
Maybe we'll shoot a video and then post the video.
or something like this. Yeah. Because too bad.
Okay. Let's continue with the shorts. There was I saw this one thing with.
Oh, you guys came back.
No, you were gone.
We're gonna do.
We're going on with the
Yeah, I
shorts
know.
now.
No.
Sorry, Keith.
So
Yes.
there's a guy who's the Israeli John Oliver. I saw his little bit. I thought it was worth showing here. It's still funny on a very serious topic. So here goes.
Hello, people of the world. You probably don't know me. I am the tallest person in Israel. These are difficult times for my people, as we find ourselves in yet another round of war. Our days are filled with death, destruction, and horror on both sides. As always, we pay close attention to the international reaction to our actions, and as always, reactions are quite critical. Dua Lipa, for example, posted on Instagram calling to free Sheikh Jarrah. Model Gigi Hadid posted a story saying you will not erase Palestine. The Weeknd reposted stories accusing Israel of ethnic cleansing. DJ Khaled said he, quote, expects oral sex but won't return the favor, in an interview from 2014, which is completely unrelated, yet always fun to remember. But make no mistakes, the pro-Israeli list of celebrities is nothing if not shiny. 49-year-old Argentinian actor Facundo Arena has shown support of his Israeli friend in a private conversation later made public on her Instagram account. So, strong figures on both sides. But in this fight over public opinion, the Israeli side has taken a serious blow this week.
For decades, the backbone of America's policy in the Middle East has been that America is an unwavering friend to Israel, which is a great thing to try and be. But at the end of the day, I would hope that a real friend would tell me when I'm being an arsehole, and definitely when I'm committing a fucking war crime.
And I would hope to someday have just a fraction of a white man's confidence when I'm talking about things that happen thousands of miles from where I live. Shit, I don't even have that much certainty about things that happen in my own home. I found my dog eating off the table one day and I was like, I don't think you should do that. And I don't want to sound defensive. Everyone has a right to criticize Israel. It's okay. I mean, the Holocaust did just happen, but okay, if you have to. That's how I make my living. Everyone has a right to consider the facts and the context. Some might even conclude that we're the bad guys. I mean, someone's gotta be it, right? But I also believe that simplifying a complex matter doesn't do justice to either side. I think it's a luxury for bystanders to make cutting statements on a century-long conflict that people live through every day. And it is my humble opinion that the opening monologue from this week's episode of Last Week Tonight, the incredibly popular HBO show I never stole format from, is doing just that.
Since Monday, over 80 Palestinians have been killed and 7 Israelis in this tit-for-tat war.
Okay, there is a lot to unpack there, from the horror of the situation, which has escalated significantly since then, to the use of the phrase tit-for-tat war in a conflict where you just pointed out one side has suffered over 10 times the casualties. Something which speaks to both the severe power imbalance at play here and how that often gets obscured by how we choose to talk about it.
Okay, first of all, you said tit. Secondly, I don't think that anyone denies that there is in fact an imbalance of power between the Israelis and the Palestinians, but imbalance in itself is not immoral. Does being stronger bear certain responsibilities? Sure, I guess. I don't know. I've never been personally stronger than anyone, but so I hear. But does it automatically mean you're at fault? Of course not. It almost sounds like you're mad at us for not taking more casualties.
Look, it is true that militants from Palestinian groups like Hamas fired over 1,000 rockets towards Israel this week, and that is reprehensible. But, and I realise this is the most load-bearing conjunction in history, but the majority of those rockets thankfully didn't reach their target for a very clear reason. There is a massive imbalance when it comes to the two sides' weaponry and capabilities. While most of the rockets aimed toward Israeli citizens this week were intercepted, Israel's airstrikes were not.
Let me get this straight. Hamas fired over 1,000 missiles at civilians, but they don't count because we stopped them in mid-air? That doesn't make any sense. That's like me going to a nursing home and injecting every elder with a live COVID sample, and the nurses go like, well, they are vaccinated, so I guess that's cool. You only got a really small number of them. Doesn't the intent matter at all? Because, and I know I sound like an Israeli abroad trying to get laid, but we do have to address the fact that Hamas targets civilians almost exclusively, while the IDF makes an effort to avoid it. And I actually agree with your criticism of the times in which the IDF doesn't do enough. I too think that taking down civilian buildings is an extreme measure and should only be used as a last resort, which is pretty fucking hard considering how deeply Hamas is rooted in everyday Palestinian lives in Gaza.
And it's important to note here, the vast majority of the Palestinians in Gaza are not part of Hamas. They don't get together and all decide to launch rockets. It's not a fucking co-op board. But when Israel fires rockets at Gaza, it endangers all Palestinians there.
Yes, that is of course correct. Only that, unfortunately, we can't change the regime in Gaza. We can't even change the regime in Israel, and we've had like 20 elections in 1 year. This guy really can't take the hint. But the point remains that like every dictatorship and every terrorist group, Hamas feeds off of its citizens and uses them as protection. And by no means does that free Israel from responsibility. No, but it does provide context, much needed context, to examine the conflict through. As someone who follows American politics, I sometimes get the feeling that the two sides of every argument are the one side that automatically supports the weak and the other side that automatically supports the strong. But sometimes the reality is more complex. Claiming that imbalance is immoral is the privilege of those who don't need to make the choice between their own safety and their care for others. We can't be weak, but we can't also be callous. And that is why I made this monologue, to say the word callous. Not in defense of Israel or in defense of war. Fuck war. It is because it pained me to see a personal hero of mine saying something as unfair, unjust, as simplistic as I expect oral sex but won't return the favor. Thank you. May we all live in peace soon.
All right, so here that was a point of view that I thought was different and worth bringing in, guys.
Well, I don't think that John Ollie was funny, and I don't think that this guy was funny, and well, it was his point of view, and it in the end, it is all the big calculation, the adding up. You did this yesterday, we did this the day before, and then it goes on and on and on and on. And I'm tired of this. It leads nowhere.
Keith? Frozen.
No, he's not frozen. Keith, what's your point? What's your opinion?
Oh, he's going in and out. So, I heard bits and pieces.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Bits and pieces. As mad as he gets. Yeah. Matt Gaetz. Absolutely crazy. I think and this is what we are talking about. We are not talking about facts anymore.
Still in the news?
Yes, he is, and he is now.
Why is he still in the news?
He's intending to become president, just in case that Donald Trump doesn't want to run in 2024. He, of course, would sacrifice himself for the country and run for the presidency. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. The times of delusion we are living in, the time of non-facts, and only the loudest screaming guy seems to be right. He's one of them. And well, he was in 2 occasions. He gave an interview to the New York Post in which he said that I support Donald Trump for president. I've directly encouraged him to run, and he gives me every indication he will. If Trump doesn't run, I'm sure I could defeat whatever remains of Joe Biden by 2024. Yes. And of course, he was with his old buddy, Steve Bannon, where he was quoted, I'm for Donald Trump in 2024. This is Donald Trump's party, and I'm a Donald Trump Republican. But if for whatever reason President Trump decided to enjoy the swamps of Florida a little more than the swamps of Washington, D.C., I'm certain I could whoop Joe Biden up one side of the country, down the other. Because the people in America want passion, excitement, and inspiration in the executive. So he describes himself to be passionate, exciting, and an inspiration, right? I'm curious if the judges will see it the same. I don't know. What do you think, Amos?
Yeah, I don't see a lot of future for him. He's kind of a clown, but
yeah. And if you think it cannot get any dumber, then you got the Big Empty in it. Marjorie Taylor Greene hit again, and unbelievable. Then there are so many people who are wrapping up their minds about what's going on in the conflict with Israel and Palestine. And, people are thinking really deep about this. And I think we also, as this small little panel, can also take this as an offense, when we are discussing this for hours, and then this little product of inbreed comes around the corner and says this. Please run it.
Any rational Jewish person didn't like what happened in Nazi Germany, and any rational Jewish person doesn't like what's happening with overbearing mask mandates and overbearing vaccine policies.
We can look back in a time in history where people were told to wear a gold star, and they were definitely treated like second-class citizens, so much so that they were put in trains and taken to gas chambers in Nazi Germany. And this is exactly the type of abuse that Nancy Pelosi is talking about. She's running a tyrannical, oppressive workplace here at the House of Representatives, forcing us to wear masks against, abusing our individual freedoms, demanding that members of Congress get the COVID vaccine.
we shouldn't be having this kind of treatment. No one should be treated like a second-class citizen for saying I don't need to wear a mask or saying that my medical records are my privacy based on my HIPAA rights. And so I stand by all of my statements. I said nothing wrong.
Do you understand, though, why some would be upset and offended by the comment?
Well, do you understand how people feel about being forced to wear masks or being forced to have to take a vaccine or even have to say that whether they've taken it or not?
This rational Jewish person right here believes it's time for Marjorie Taylor Greene to be expelled from Congress. This is enough. Marjorie Taylor Greene is trafficking in hate speech. She is trivializing the Holocaust. She is conducting dog whistles to the far right to raise money, to raise our political power, to bias our politics into a place of hate. And there's no place for hate in our politics, and this needs to stop right now. This is not a left-right issue. There are many members across the aisle who are upset by this.
Any comparisons to the Holocaust, it's beyond reprehensible. This is, I don't even have words to describe how disappointing it is to see this hyperbolic speech that frankly amps up and plays into a lot of the anti-Semitism that we've been seeing in our society today. And I do condemn that in the strongest terms. There is no excuse for that.
With the Holocaust, we learned about many different actors, and the key actor was the people who were passive and allowed this kind of hate to go unchecked. And that's what we're learning about right now in our politics, that she sees a profit from it. She's profiting from hate speech. She's raising lots of money off of it. And she's being allowed to do it by people who are passively allowing her to get away with it on her own side of the aisle in particular, and her leadership. And it says that our politics right now doesn't punish those who foment hate. And that needs to stop. We need red lines in our politics.
It is, and well, I did not. There was another thing originally I wanted to have today in the show, but I decided not. There was another thing this week. There was the defund the police, the bill, and there was a remarkable little interview I've seen on the Jimmy Dore show where Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was asked why she voted present and not against it, and it was incredible to listen to her. It was absolute word salad. It was unbearable. So I decided not to go for it. But what I wanted to say is, you got this blabbering piece of clay, Taylor Greene. And when you look at the politics at the moment, it is more and more, it is becoming a wrestling show, right? Or an UFC show or something like that. So go for it. Do it. Put Marjorie Taylor Greene against AOC. As it is, everything is only about entertainment and bullshit. So come on, do it right now. Let's start the idiocracy, Go for it.
Just throw them in the ring, huh?
Yes, yeah, put them in the ring and everyone is entertained and, nobody expecting anything from both sides. And so the people would have at least a little bit entertainment from this, But,
well, the Romans tried that. What happened to them?
Who?
The Romans tried that, and look what happened to them. They're not around anymore.
Yeah, but maybe it gives you a little bit some more years, It took some centuries for the Romans to disappear finally, right?
Yeah, and I have to admit, congressional cage fighting would definitely get people involved in politics.
Of course,
people would really start taking their civic duties seriously.
You could have the oath keepers as referees, as ring referees and stuff, time takers and stuff. Perfect.
And it stimulate the economy with all the bling and all the merchandising. Oh,
yes. Yeah. And maybe you can maybe you can connect it, to get the opportunity to come to a show, to a live show with your right to vote, Maybe you can sell your right to vote for going to a show. That would be
or
cool.
win one as a prize.
No, this would be too complicated. They don't want the people to vote, so let them sell their votes, or let them bet with their votes, let them bet on the winner.
And combine that with mud wrestling.
Oh, cool. Yeah, cool idea. Yeah.
Well, there was a movie about that too, years ago. It was Rollerball.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Fine.
This was cool. Yeah, cool.
Just decide wars on.
Yep. A couple of cartoons that.
Yes, I'm glad you found that. Yeah.
American Toxic.
And now imagine they get married, and one of them gets president.
Nice.
Wow.
I don't even want to think about that.
All right.
Besides, she's not his type. She's not 17 anymore.
Yeah, but if you look back, it is not a long time that people were married because of love. Sometimes it was arranged, and it's for the best of the country. So maybe they could unionize.
Yeah, but Gaetz's idea of arranging things is using a $20 bill. Maybe more.
All right. Yeah, she's trying to make me look bad.
Yep.
Jabba.
We've reached our satire roundup, our cartoon roundup.
Barbara, Markus has the patience of a saint. You don't know me, Barbara. Now that Trump's gone, what is this? Oh, it's right with the world. Yeah. All is right with the world. Yeah. Hamas rockets, India COVID death, anti-Semitism. Yeah.
There's 50% of Americans have now been vaccinated, and the other person says, and the other 50% believe Trump won the elections.
Yeah. I love the next one. Yeah. Where did we come from? Evolution, mutations, and natural selection. My dad says we were created in a lab. I love this one.
It's funny, but they're like the fact that they're looking. Sorry.
No, there's so much in this sketch. I think we just learned that in Vietnam they found a new mutation of the virus again. So they are learning. They're sitting there like kids in school and they are learning about evolution, about natural selection and stuff. And now they are coming in there. The lab theory. Yeah, or maybe not. Or who knows? And well, I don't know.
But it's specific to the news because there's been a reinvigorated interest in exploring that even under the Biden administration, and people take it as if it's proof that there was some engineering involved, which doesn't seem to have been the case based on research.
Yeah, well, don't tell that poor little virus particle that he was created in a lab because he might want to mutate.
Right.
Oh yeah. What's the next one?
And this is a Joe Rogan one.
Okay.
There might be some Joe Rogan fans in our audience, but I've kind of like written him off based on stuff that he said and his involvement.
Oh, my son's a big fan.
Well, the fact that he's making money off of all these things and of supplements he recommends to cure COVID and stuff like that is just it's kind of destroyed his credibility in my view. But here's There's one you wanna read that one?
I'm sorry.
Joe, the minute you declare yourself non-binary or trans, kind of culpable up to the.
You're fading in and out, Amos.
I can't read the.
Yes, I got the same problem here.
Yeah.
The joke here is that they're receiving money from Substack and from Spotify, and they pretend to be representing the working class. Here's one on the vaccine. When do I get my vaccination?
Yeah.
Emission reduction.
Yeah, that's a good question. Next one is the U.S. economy. So I guess he's not here to light the fuse. Yeah, there comes the inflation dragon.
Another one.
Yeah.
Pairing
the great American
elections.
voting machine. And you gotta look this in the details. Dark money, raw politics, suppressomatic, chat bin.
Right.
Yeah, we have more than one.
It's a hell of a machine.
More than one machine.
Repair this elegant and well-oiled machine? Why would we do that?
Right.
Yeah, this is one about the minimum wage. People don't want to work anymore. They'd rather sit at home collecting unemployment when they could be out here endlessly pushing this boulder up a hill.
That's the employer
And getting
saying
sick doing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sisyphus.
Is Watkins? You're back from our time travel experiment in to 2021. How did it compare to present day 1973?
There's a long lines at the gas pumps. Inflation is going crazy, and there's a crisis in the Middle East.
Ah, so our time travel experiment didn't work then.
It did.
Here's Biden showing his masterpiece of the Middle East.
You know, that is
policy.
just so true.
Yeah.
Deja vu.
Yeah. Who says we can have Middle East peace without the Palestinians?
Abrams
The
Accords.
Palestinians. Yeah, Abraham Accords. Yeah.
Negotiators have brokered a ceasefire in the Middle East, and meanwhile, here at home,
Yeah.
mass shootings.
Yeah, but was it the last one? Was it Seattle? Was it Seattle?
Yeah, that's one thing we didn't cover.
Yeah. But we
it's
covered
constant.
so many shootings already, and you know, with all respect and wow.
Well, we could have covered some more this week.
Yeah. They say you can lose the mask, Linus. I'm not ready.
Trump surrounded by the troubled waters, surrounded by the FBI, IRS, probes, DOJ, and New York Attorney General, and he's like just.
In a parallel universe, guys, he is sitting in jail in Orange.
Yeah, in a parallel universe.
Yeah. Yes, and this is also a thing we did not cover this week is what happened in Europe. You know, when one of the last dictator here in the European region, Lukashenko, hijacked a plane from Ryanair and to get his fingers on a dissident who was on board, and well, he got him and he imprisoned him and his girlfriend, and the poor guy has to expect death penalty, and it led to harsh reactions from the EU and also today yesterday from the US. Meanwhile, machines, incoming flights from Belarus are not allowed anymore. They are completely isolated. In how far this is helpful, you can argue, because it also prevents to give the people who wanna go away from this system the chance to leave it. And yeah, he knows that he has the cover of Vladimir Putin, and so he is acting now like this. The last elections a couple of months ago, he won only by cheating drastically. The public did not buy the results, and it came to revolutionary scenes, and he oppressed the public, the people there in his country. And he's only in there because Putin lets him be in this job. We will see where it goes.
His rhetoric is kind of like he learned from Trump, apparently. He can create some complete bunkers theory and then stick with it.
Yes, he said there was a bomb on board, and so he had to force the plane to go down, though he was already leaving the region of White Russia, of Belarus, and the next reachable airport would have been on EU ground, and then he sent some military fighters up and to accompany the plane, and it was it was piracy, if you want so, and it was like in the old movies, only in the air.
And then when this didn't sell, he said that it was some sort of like they were like trying lure him in. They were setting him up.
Yes, yeah. Evil powers from inside the country and outside the country, are after him. And yes, it is the old rhetoric we hear always. But mostly we heard those rhetorics from the Middle East, or from South America, from other dictators, But this is the last one we have here in Europe. Yeah.
A renewed interest in UFOs.
Yes, and this is very strange, guys. Yeah, so this is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah. I don't think that she's an alien, but I think alien are intelligent. Why I know
that's kind of an insult for aliens too.
I'm sorry?
That is kind of an insult to aliens.
Exactly, and only just the fact because we did not met aliens yet shows they're intelligent, and this excludes the thought that MTG has anything to do with them, right?
In fact, she's probably promoting them not wearing masks when they land on Earth.
Yeah. And it is kind of remarkable, all the
freedom.
Oh my God! Don't say this.
But
it is quite remarkable. I think if you see all the confirmed UFO sightings lately coming from the government, right? And I thought to myself, I had in mind that a couple of years ago they started to build the Space Force, right? And what's the use of a space force if there's no enemy, and if there is no visible enemy? So I thought to myself, you gotta give the people, the audience, a visible enemy, just to justify all the money which goes into the space force. Otherwise it would have no reason, right? And I thought to myself, if I was an alien and I want to occupy this planet, right, for whatever reasons, then I would not invade it by person. I would send out a virus, for example, which makes it free of any human beings, and then if they are gone, I can go and settle down there. This would be the easiest way.
Marcus, you got to look at that hand, though. They're already in control. Look at that hand.
Yes, I noticed it. Yeah.
They're here.
For many decades, they've
Do
media has
you
been
really
making
think
fun.
that Joe Biden is still alive, guys? Come on. He has an alien parasite inside of him.
Yeah.
But what's interesting
He's
is that
latex.
for decades, this whole aspect of UFOs has been ridiculed. And when you think about it logically, we know how many planets there are, how many stars there are, and we know how many of those star systems have planets, and how many out of them are in regions, habitable regions, what they call habitable regions, which means
And now
that
include the multiverse theory.
that's aside from the multiverse. We're talking about the reachable universe, or the likelihood.
Distances are huge.
Right. So statistically, it is very improbable, extremely improbable, that we're the only life in the universe, and
It's
even
math.
the only intelligent life. The only question that remains whether they can get here within a reasonable amount of time to make travel practical or not. And according to some scientists, there are and they're researching in NASA now ways to use warp engines that bend time-space in order to overcome the light speed limitation of travel. And so we know, at least theoretically, it's possible. My guess is that it is.
The most recent calculation I heard of, the Drake calculation, was that there should be 20 civilizations in the Milky Way, and we're one of them. And I forgot where that was. The Drake equation, for anybody who doesn't know, is just a bunch of things multiplied together that are probabilities that determine how probable life is, civilizations are. And the various terms change according to scientific knowledge. And so somebody serious did it recently and came up with 20 civilizations. But will we ever know about them? The distances are so incredibly large between I always forget, and then I start playing with the math, and I get reminded that like if you were on a jet to go to the nearest star, it would take you like 20,000 years at normal speed. And whether
Maybe
aliens
we
are
are
here watching us, why would they watch us?
Exactly.
I think they just wipe us out and settle.
And look, we are a little bit maybe. I think we can compare us a little bit to a little tribe, in the rainforest, who did not come out of his forest, yet. And while the other world is around, but he cannot go through this forest. And I think this is the same what we are having with the speeding travel, the time of traveling.
Well, consider this, that if a civilization reached that point, they probably don't need our little measly planet. They can probably mine other planets. They can do other things elsewhere. And just even spending the resource on that would not make sense. So, I don't know, but
it would be dangerous.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's extraterrestrials visiting Earth.
It would become very dangerous if there would show up an alien species which gets energy from dumbness, right? Then we are in serious trouble, man.
Yeah, reptilians sucking the energy from empty green.
She would be the powerhouse. Yeah. You would go endlessly with her.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this brings us to the end of our thing. And one thing that I wanted to mention, if Oz is still there, like last week you mentioned, you were talking about the some map, and then you sent a link, and
we talked about the map.
Did, and I was confused because I didn't know what this was. This was specifically indicated, and when you read, this is a Catholic site And if you read it, actually, it explains why this narrative is false that we were discussing last week. And that map that you were pointing to is a version of what the UN suggested. That the partition would be between Jews and Palestinians in this territory, where they were suggesting that 70% of the Jewish part would be in the desert, which was at that time completely vacant, because they didn't know yet how to salinate or how to make it productive. So that at that point, Israel, the Zionist groups agreed to that partition in spite of its disadvantages, but the Arab states did not rejected it offhand, and then proceeded to occupy what we know as the West Bank by Jordan and the Gaza Strip by Egypt on the day of the Independence Proclamation. Everything went on from there. So if you read this, that's the link you sent. You'll get a better explanation. I can cover here. I just wanted to touch on this.
All right. So we got this. Though Keith could not complete his segment, quite a long show, guys, right? So, and thank you very much.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, we'll have to figure.
I hope
we'll
so.
Have to figure
And
how to do this.
And maybe we can record it as well, and then do it over the week. We will see how we do this. And well, we are going. First of all, thanks to all for watching, and it's great that you are with us and listening to us when we are discussing topics. And well, today we are going out with a complete different tune again after 2 weeks of punk, and last week we had the Hebrew Palestinian. It was a multi-band, right?
It was a mixed band.
Yeah. We are going out today with a band from Jamaica, which is incredible in my opinion. They are doing the old Jamaican reggae with a little bit modern style, but they are very traditional in it. She is Empress Sativa, and the song is Boom Wada Dang. And she was one of the most celebrated new bands. I think it was in 2018, and they have out an EP so far as I know. I don't find any CDs or something. This is why they denied to do this. She is very strict in her attitude, so she has her stuff only on vinyl, which I, on the other side, think it's very, very cool. I hope you guys enjoy this. This is a live track. We cannot, of course, not play the original. And guys, I hope you like it, and hope to see you next week. Thanks to Amos and Keith for being with me and for doing the show together. And yes, see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Next week. Bye.
Now in comes the unconquerable lioness, Empress Sativa. You don't know where we roar, no that bar. Kick it off. Empress Sativa on the mic and I go repeat up again. Watch out. But we are on the place, you know we not beg no break. Kick it. Any lyrics that me spit, me say me must can defend. Boom. We know say we rougher than them. Come a little and a go amount of come and a party. I love we been selecting your love sound system. Brigadier the general, the principal of chaplain. Forward Empress Sativa, me a top rock. See Put up on the rhythm like a Lisa Panalim. With the mic in a me and annihilate anything. We no skin teeth, skylock, we no green. Blink 45 and 30 every 15. Of the people in rocking, who the style and the pattern. Overflow them a rush and the page and busting up a blend. Police a make a raid for wanted dead. No fight now with the gun beside the big gun just sitting on me head. I walk up to the tower of the control station and ask them what's my name and what's my occupation. I tell them it's your highness for your information. Grandmaster we're in a ram jam session. Boom! Empress Sativa on the mic and I go repeat up again. What? When we are on the place, you know me nah beg no friend. Kick it! Any lyrics you best with the same, I must can defend. Boom! Wa-da-da-ding, them fin won't say me rougher than them. But see them mother, corporate with cup threats. Show them face and above chest. Jealous one everyday Empress Sativa, the uncocker everyone much less. Frightened feed the entourage of OOOs and Santa Claus. Me I feel off to all them soft. Names we chopping them in and off. In a part exposing, in a pastor crows him. Should it that this is opposing the woman nobody knows him. The jando, my flow is so intricately orchestrated, rated as the greatest female MC the king created. I tell them, boom! Empress Sativa and the mic and I go repeat up again. Watch out! But we are on the place, you know we not beg no friend. Watch out! Any lyrics you miss with me, say me no scan defend. Boom! Wa-da-da-ding, da-da-da-da-ding. So we praise to the fox, tarnish my name every day them a chat. Slide to the face back, turn them a talk to my time, pan a man clock, word them a watch. Reason we use and they don't my rap friendship, we refuse in the eyes of a flat. Highland powder roads like that's not a dig 0623 from a drop on the feet, third pen, they shall be no me stop. Even a strong of a lack shall attach. Queen pan throne of a them just a cut to the comp on the head and a brief because snatch. Yes, me dash, all me the match, but the pagan to the sprinkle the ash. Morning rain on the train, them a watch them kill up themselves, but when I'm at a lash. Wa-da-da-ding, da-da-da-da-ding, Empress Sativa, and the mic and I will repeat up. Yes, wa-da-da-ding, da-da-da-da-ding. But we are on the place, you know we not beg no friend. Kick it, wa-da-da-ding, da-da-da-da-ding. Them fi know say we rougher than them. We're supposed to skank with me now. We're supposed to skank. How you feeling? You're irie. Let me hear you say irie. Let me hear you say irie. Yeah man, give thanks, Rototom. So